Every performance has its price, whether on stage or not. In the spotlight, we edit ourselves, trimming away the edges that seem too sharp or raw for the world to see. But the parts we hide don't simply vanish. Black Swan, directed by Darren Aronofsky, portrays this idea through an unsettling lens. The film focuses on Nina, a ballerina clinically obsessed with perfection. Her journey spirals downward as she slowly loses her sanity, her identity merging indistinguishably with the roles she plays until she can no longer recognize herself. As children, we were free to laugh loudly or cry whenever we felt like it. Our expressions were unfiltered and completely authentic. Yet, as we grew older, we learned the unwritten rules of what's okay to display in public and what's not. We became aware of the boundaries of social acceptance, understanding that certain emotions and behaviors should be kept hidden in order to feel accepted. The emotions and desires we suppress don't just disappear. Instead, they are merely pushed into a deeper part of our minds, known as the subconscious. The subconscious harbors many of our repressed thoughts, many of which our conscious mind is completely unaware of. While our conscious mind handles day-to-day decisions, the subconscious acts as an internal storage that can accumulate suppressed feelings over time and eventually affect us in unexpected ways. It's in the subconscious mind that the shadow self form is formed, termed by psychologist Carl Jung. The shadow self is the hidden version of our personality that is often the opposite of our public persona. This shadow self embodies the traits and impulses we've pushed aside in our quest to adhere to social norms. Nina Sayers was a ballerina, and nothing else. She spent her entire life striving for perfection in ballet. Her life was stripped of genuine experiences, consumed entirely by becoming the best ballerina. She would dedicate every waking moment to mastering her technique, denying herself all personal desires in the process. Her performances dictated her self-worth, transforming her passion into a prison. But why was she like this? So relentlessly driven for something seemingly superficial? Nina might have had obsessive-compulsive disorder, known as OCD, a condition where intrusive thoughts lead to repetitive behaviors or rituals. Her obsessive-compulsive tendencies manifested in an unnatural need for perfection, particularly in ballet. This drive for perfection wasn't solely self-imposed. It was also fueled by her mother, a failed ballerina who projected her unfulfilled dreams onto Nina. Her overbearing and controlling nature kept Nina emotionally stunted, reinforcing the idea that ballet was the only worthwhile pursuit in life. Growing up in such an environment, Nina was conditioned to believe she must embody purity and grace, idealized traits of a ballerina, to be worthy. This constant pressure from her authoritative mother deeply influenced her intrinsic motivations, embedding these expectations deep into her psyche. As a result, Nina crafted her entire outward personality to fit this ideal, ruthlessly suppressing any aspects of herself that did not align with the image of the perfect ballerina. The pivotal shift occurred when the ballet director, Thomas, cast Nina as the lead in the upcoming performance, Swan Lake. Typically, this ballet features one dancer portraying the white swan, the protagonist, and another embodying the black swan, the antagonist. However, Thomas envisioned a single ballerina taking on both roles, as this would add a profound depth to the production. This decision placed an extraordinary demand on Nina. While Nina perfectly embodied the innocence and grace of the white swan, Thomas challenged her to unleash the characteristics of the black swan: seduction, spontaneity, and aggression. Ballet typically prizes grace and precision, qualities she had spent her entire life perfecting, but the role of the black swan required a different approach. It forced her to explore a more visceral and unrestrained style of dance, challenging her to express emotions and movements that were entirely foreign to her disciplined training. Initially, Nina struggled to adjust to the demands of the black swan role. Observing her difficulties, Thomas brought in an alternative dancer whose presence and potential to replace her taunted Nina. This sparked a deep fear within her. She couldn't stand being replaced, as this would mean she failed, she hadn't been perfect. This realization only heightened her anxieties and pushed her further towards the edge. Nina must let loose for the sake of her role as Black Swan, but fighting against her deep-seated self-control proves difficult. She attempts to rebel, experimenting with drugs and engaging in reckless behavior. However, these tactics fail to influence her performance. She remains constrained, unable to satisfy Thomas's vision of the Black Swan. Faced with the threat of being replaced, her perfectionism turns into paranoia. Her mind begins to betray her, conjuring up vivid and terrifying hallucinations that blur the line between reality and delusion. She becomes increasingly suspicious of those around her, believing that her fellow dancers, especially Lily, are conspiring against her. Her paranoia extends to her home life, where she begins to see her mother not as a protective figure, but as another enemy. The climax of her psychological breakdown occurs when she stabs and kills Lily in the dressing room. Nina's spontaneous murder of her alternate dancer is a manifestation of her shadow self, embodying her deepest fears and desires. This dark aspect of her psyche represents the parts of herself she had long repressed, her envy, anger, and longing for freedom from the rigid expectations imposed on her. Finally, she steps on stage, channeling all the darkness she kept hidden, delivering a chilling and unforgettable Black Swan performance that leaves the audience in awe. Nina's ability to embody the Black Swan only after she killed Lily is significant. Believing she has crossed an irredeemable moral line, she feels liberated from the constraints of her meticulously controlled persona. This perceived point of no return allows her to fully embrace the chaos and passion required to portray the Black Swan, as she no longer feels bound by the need to maintain her previous image of purity and innocence. Her transformation parallels the human reaction to an impending death sentence. When faced with the end, people often abandon their inhibitions and pursue their deepest desires without regard for the consequences. Suppressing emotions, particularly those that are seen as negative or undesirable, can lead to a dangerous buildup of internal tension. When emotions are continually repressed, they don't disappear. Instead, they accumulate beneath the surface, growing stronger and sometimes distorted. For Nina, the suppression of her emotions, her anger, envy, and desire for freedom, created an intense internal conflict. This conflict eventually manifested in her hallucinations and erratic behavior, as the repressed emotions sought an outlet. The subconscious mind is unable to suppress powerful emotions indefinitely, so it often comes up with creative methods to force them into awareness. These emotions often find unexpected and unintentional ways to surface, which can happen through sudden emotional outbursts, physical altercations, or, as in Nina's case, through an altered mental state. Her hallucinations and paranoia delusions were not just random occurrences. They were the subconscious mind's way of processing and expressing the emotions she had been unable to consciously acknowledge. Before the last dance of the performance, Lily realized a shocking twist. She never actually stabbed Lily because Lily had never been in that dressing room. In fact, no one has been in that dressing room. She only hallucinated her and stabbed herself. This twist is a powerful symbol, illustrating the inward destruction done by repressing one's emotions. Her relentless pursuit of perfection has been eating away at her from within. In truth, no one had been out to get her or take her spot. It was all in her head. Her obsessive thoughts and paranoid delusions had done nothing but harm herself, creating a prison of her own making. The real enemy was not an external threat, but the internal struggle she faced with her own unacknowledged emotions and fears. As she danced in her final moments, bleeding out, we are left with nothing but the chilling truth. She destroyed herself. She always denied her true feelings and strived to meet impossible expectations. Her story can teach us that the shadows we ignore can become the very forces that unravel us. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you would like more videos like this.